to another episode of EveryRing That's Everything Wrestling. We continue the What If series. What if Sting had not become a superstar? Wrestling history would be drastically different, with significant impacts on WCW, WWE, and later TNA and AEW. Sting's rise was pivotal for WCW's success, and his eventual presence in the wrestling scene was a major factor in the competitive landscape that shaped WWE, TNA, and AEW. Without his superstardom, it's unlikely any of these promotions would have had the same trajectory, especially concerning the shift in the Monday Night War and the development of alternative promotions. WWE. Effect on WWE. No major challenge to Hulk Hogan. Sting was the face of the franchise for many years during WCW's dominance over the WWE in the 1990s. Without his star power, WCW would have had difficulty challenging Hulk Hogan's popularity. Less compelling storylines. Sting's arrival in WWE and subsequent feuds with The Undertaker and Triple H helped provide crucial storylines for the company's growth and kept WWE on top. Potential decline. Without a strong, homegrown rival to Hulk Hogan, WWE might not have been able to maintain its dominance in the wrestling landscape, potentially facing a decline in ratings and interest. Sting and Ultimate Warrior came into the business the same time. Both had a rough time in the business. Both had the look but awfully green. Sting's trajectory was something special and unexpected, where NWA needed that next big thing and they kept in their own roster to alter the history of wrestling. Sting was impactful because Dusty Rhodes took the risk and transformed him into the superstar that is so iconic. NWA took the risk. Now Sting didn't really impact WWE directly because his run physically in the company was considered disappointing, but if he had not become a star, the whole WCW and WWE head-off would possibly never happen. AEW. Effect on AEW. Less competition with TNA and WWE. The rivalry between AEW, TNA, and WWE was a major factor in the development of professional wrestling. Without Sting's presence, the competition might have been less intense, potentially leading to a slower growth for all three promotions. Fewer career opportunities. Without a major star to draw fans to the promotion, AEW might not have been able to secure the same level of success as it has, and many wrestlers might have had fewer opportunities to thrive. Sting's AEW run has been considered one of the best sign-offs in wrestling, where he went undefeated and captured tag gold with Darby Allin, so Sting not getting famous would hurt one of the best feel-good stories in the world of wrestling. Also, without Sting's WCW run, many of the wrestlers inspired by him may have been. That is one of the most impactful story in itself. Tony Khan himself fell in love with wrestling during Sting's run, and without that AEW could possibly never become the company that we all know and love. TNA. Effect on TNA. Weaker WCW-WWE rivalry. The competition between the three promotions helped drive innovation and creativity. Without Sting as a major player in the wrestling scene, the rivalry might have been less compelling, and all three promotions might have struggled to reach the same level of success. Sting's departure from WCW. Sting's arrival in TNA helped launch the promotion's new era, but it also highlighted the rivalry between the two promotions. Without his presence, TNA might not have been able to build the same level of momentum and success as it has. Fewer career opportunities. Without a major star to draw fans to the promotion, TNA might not have been able to secure the same level of success as it has, and many wrestlers might have had fewer opportunities to thrive. Sting had a great impact on TNA. He was part of several stories that helped keep the company relevant. Not only four-time TNA champion, but had several stories surrounding his persona. His Joker persona was entertaining and had several encounters with Kurt Angle. So TNA not having the icon Sting could have been disastrous. He was helping put eyes on the brand at its dark times, so without this aspect TNA could have entered DOA and non-existent. Professional wrestling. A less diverse industry. If Sting had not become a superstar, professional wrestling would be a very different landscape, with less competition and innovation. Without his presence as a major player, the industry might have been dominated by a single company, with less focus on the creative and artistic aspects of the sport. Fewer career opportunities. Without Sting as a major star to draw fans to the promotion, it's possible that fewer wrestlers would have had the same opportunities to thrive. A less creative and innovative sport, the rivalry between the three major promotions helped drive innovation and creativity. Without Sting's presence, the rivalry might have been less compelling, and all three promotions might have struggled to reach the same level of success. Well, that's another episode of EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling. Hope you are enjoying these series. There have always been pundits questioning what if, so we are helping realize what could have been. Now to the predictions for AEW Full Gear and discussion.
Now we'll go over the predictions for AEW Full Gear. AEW Full Gear 2025 main card. 1. Darby Allin vs. Pac. The feud kind of moves forward where the Death Riders still look into and Darby Allin. Unfortunately, Pac is going up against the face of AEW and will be feudal against the hardcore superstar. Prediction: Darby Allin. 2. AEW National Championship Casino Gauntlet match, Bobby Lashley vs. Shelton Benjamin vs. Ricochet vs. Kevin Knight vs. Speedball, Mike Bailey vs. Marty B.A. The controversial over bringing the national championship is intriguing. Hot Syndicate will start the gauntlet where many surprises will be part of this. If Will Ospreay returns and enters the gauntlet, he'll win because he's undefeated thus far in gauntlets. If Jay White is part of the gauntlet, he'll make for a great showing and hopefully gets in the world title picture. If Swerve Strickland returns, another argument for rewarding one of the best wrestlers in AEW. Prediction: it's hard not knowing the entire field, but odds-on favorite Will Ospreay returns and wins the national championship. 3. AEW World Tag Team Championship match, Rudido vs. FTR. The best tag team in the world with one of the most exciting tag team currently in AEW. FTR needs the win more to solidify their moniker. Prediction: and new AEW Tag Champions FTR. 3. AEW TNT Championship No DQ match, Kyle Fletcher vs. Mark Briscoe. If Briscoe loses, he must join the Don Callis family. Intriguing stipulation: Mark Briscoe joining the already bloated Don Callis family. Mark Briscoe needs to collect gold in AEW to continue his ascent. Prediction: and new AEW TNT champion Mark Briscoe. 4. $1 million match, The Young Bucks and Josh Alexander vs. Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express. The poor Bucks story has been cumbersome and one of the biggest problems with AEW, with stories and feuds going too long. Young Bucks becoming elite again. Young Bucks are desperate for cash. No matter how talented, the story hurts the overall storytelling of the tag division while using the Don Callis family as a crutch for cheap hits. Prediction: Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express. 5. No holds barred match, Jon Moxley vs. Kyle O'Reilly. The descent of Jon Moxley is interesting, where it's going to lead to the end of the Death Riders, so it's going to help with Kyle O'Reilly gaining his value in the company. Prediction: Kyle O'Reilly. 6. Babes of Wrath vs. Sisters of Sin vs. Timeless Love Bombs vs. Marina Shafir and Megan Ben. Winning team chooses the stipulation for their AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship. The women's tag tournament has been fun. The women's division has been outshining the entire company, where the women's blood and guts stole the show, and this will be no different. Prediction: Sisters of Sin win and the stipulation will be a street fight for the tag championship finals. 7. AEW Women's World Championship match, Kris Stratlander vs. Mercedes Mone. Ultimo Mone has 13 titles, and unfortunately the predictability is erasing the gains of the women's division. Kris Stratlander winner the belt was to be a placeholder similar to her role of the TBS Championship, which is sad. Prediction: and new AEW Women's Champion Mercedes Mone, 14 titles and counting. 8. AEW World Championship Steel Cage match, Hangman Page vs. Samoa Joe. Long-standing feud along with forgettable championship run makes this hard to predict. Samoa Joe getting two shots should lead to a win, but in reality Tony Khan is enamored with Adam Page, don't know why, because he's boring. Prediction: and still AEW World Champion Adam Page. Well, that's the predictions. Now to Harvard and the discussion.
Welcome to another discussion for the past week in wrestling. We start off with some sad news. The world of wrestling lost the announcer Bob Caudle. He was the voice of Jim Crockett Promotions and NWA. known for his catchphrase, "So long for now." And he opened the PPV portion of 2022 Ric Flair's last match. The next round of Last Timers now has been established, only one change due to Sheamus' injury, so hopefully he has a quick recovery. Monday Night Raw witnessed the Women's Intercontinental title change hands where Maxxine Dupri did the impossible and won against Becky Lynch. On Tuesday, the first night of NXT Gold Rush, Jayne beat Tatum Paxley to become a two-time NXT Women's Champion. On AEW Collision, in a Raw Women's TV title unification match, Mercedes Mone keeps the title in her grasp to remain 13 belts Mone. On SmackDown, the Women's War Games match finalized both teams. Just as Charlotte puts the past aside, her team added Lee to the mix to where the heels added Becky Lynch. So the teams are as follows. Team Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and Lee. Team Asuka Kaire Sane, Lash Legend, Nia Jax and Becky Lynch. It was reported that the AMC television channel is interested in TNA Wrestling, giving them a channel for weekly programming and opening the viewership. Nick Hogan, son of Hulk Hogan, has been training and says the wrestling bug is hitting and it's in his blood. I don't know if the timing is right, but you never know. WWE signs Neil athlete. Megan Walker, a standout track and field star for South Dakota. As reported last week, the vacated WWE ID Women's Champion was held in a six-way match where Lanie Luck became the new champ after defeating Brittany Brooks, Elshia Demia, Tiara James, Shannon Levangie, and Notorious Mimi. Last week on SmackDown, we witnessed Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder. This week on Raw, Dolph Ziggler, NIC Namath participated in the Last Time Is Now tournament in a losing effort against Solo Sikoa. Let's go to Matches of the Week, Wrestlers of the Week and Indie Star. Matches of the Week. WWE. Raw. Last Time Is Now tournament, Jevon Evans vs Gunther. Not only does Gunther return and have his NXT UK theme, he put on a master class against the young OG. The contrasting styles worked well against each other, just stellar. NXT Women's North American Championship, Blake Monroe vs Sol Raka. Storytelling, check. Athleticism, check. The chemistry while relaying a story was just amazing, also furthering the angst between the besties Zaruka. SmackDown. WWE Tag Match. Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, vs DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. The athleticism was on full display and chemistry was overflowing. The tag division could be something special if only WWE and The Office embrace it. This match was a perfect example of how amazing the division could be. AEW. Number 2 Entrant match for the AEW National Championship Gauntlet match. Shelton Benjamin vs Mike Bailey. Athleticism vs speed. The two put on a great match that had the crowd standing in excitement. TNA. Knockouts 4-way match to determine the participants for the triple threat match for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Shea Brookside vs Killer Kelly vs Victoria Crawford vs Jody Threat. The TNA Knockouts are building up nicely where it's slowly reaching the level of the Impact days. Shea Brookside has tons of potential and the four ladies put on a master class in wrestling. Wrestlers of the Week. WWE. Maxxine Dupri, the new Women's Intercontinental Champion, did the impossible, the unthinkable. Showing vast improvement and actually owning Becky Lynch just to get the big prize is a perfect storytelling segment. AEW. Kyle O'Reilly in blood. He was the MVP of the men's match, and his getting under the skin of Jon Moxley has been a genius way to help build one of the most underrated superstars. Kyle O'Reilly is that hidden gem that has blossomed perfectly. His style is fitting for the AEW roster. Indie Star. The Zukos MCW Tag Champions. A father and son tag team that is something special. Ronnie Zukos, the dad of the duo. Ryan Zukos, the son of the duo, but more importantly the one to watch. Well, that is another episode of EveryRing. That's everything wrestling. Like always. Chalo Kushti Karate.
Another in case you missed it, because the professionals of EveryRing That's Everything Wrestling miss things, proving to error is human but to be a Yeti is perfection. As the What If deals with Sting, Stephen Borden, the son of the Icon, secured his first victory in single competition. On Friday, Defy Eon 2. He defeated Kieran Gray. In 2024, Aero Revolution he appeared as Wolfpack Sting at his dad's retirement match and the bug has hit him fully. Also, On SmackDown on Survivor Series weekend, next week's SmackDown November 28th, the episode will have a traditional SmackDown match where Sami Zayn, Rey Fenix, Shinsuke Nakamura and Motor City Machine Guns, Shelly and Saban, will face the MFT, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Tala Tonga, and JC Mateo. Confusing why this isn't on the Survivor Series premium event but wrestling, right? WWE and AAA will have an Alliances event, where AAA World Mixed Tag Championships are up for grabs when Team Canada put the belts on the line against Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana. I'll do predictions even though I wasn't asked because I'm a professional. Prediction, and still AAA Mixed Tag Champs Team Canada. Highly anticipated tag match with AAA Mega Champion Dirty Dom and wrestling legend El Grande Americano vs Dragon Lee and El Hijo del Vikingo. I feel this is the match that will put friends against each other. Dragon Lee and Vikingo win and start the feud between El Grande Americano and Dirty Dom. Natalya and Fabi Apache vs La Hydra and Flammer. Prediction, Natalya and Fabi get the win. Axiom vs Jevon Evans vs Octagon Jr. for the number 1 contender for the AAA Cruiserweight Championship. Prediction, Jevon Evans wins and eventually captures the Cruiserweight Championship, finally getting gold. Per Deadline, the entertainment outlet, WWE star Bianca Belair has signed a deal with the talent agency CAA for representation where the Hollywood bug is spreading. It's believed AEW superstar Anna Jay's contract will expire soon. So the free agency game will begin. She's extremely talented and athletic, so she'll be a prime target. Unfortunately, AEW hasn't utilized her to her full potential. With the John Cena final match ending in Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena, it's been rumored that Vince McMahon and US President Donald Trump will be there, so we'll see if the biggest event in wrestling will have the most powerful leader of the free world. Which leads to the next story, where rumblings of 2026 Hall of Fame inductees have been discussed, where Stephanie McMahon is already been named, but Big Match John is also rumored to be inducted, making the list already one of the best in its history. Well, that's another in case you missed it, so whenever the main crew can't do the job, the reliable Yeti will. So like always, let's wrestle, Adu.
Wrestling is something special, as you can see our human element dealt with a lot of superstars. King Kong Bundy, a wrestler deserving WWE Hall of Fame. Sherry Martel was an amazing person who helped revolutionize the women's division. The Crusher, who Milwaukee famous, was a classic star. Puppet the Midget was a bigger-than-life superstar who is both engaging and ahead of his time. Wrestling is life and we want to push it forward.
Thanks for tuning in to Channel 14, Kenosha Community Television. Remember to tune into my program, Just Talkin', shown right here, Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Channel 14. On the program, we cover community events, talk to nonprofit organizations, and who knows, we may bump into a celebrity now and then. So remember to tune in to Just Talkin' Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. right here on Channel 14.
Kenosha Community Media. For 40 years it entertained, educated and produced local production for the city of Kenosha. Viewers like you not only can watch but be part of the channel by bringing in local Flair. Spectrum Channel 14, Roku and Internet. KenoshaMedia.org. 262-564-6103 Address: Southwest Library, The Hub, 7979 38th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin 53142.
EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling is carrying out the tradition that was brought to you by Diablo Angelico and Danger Dan. The show must go on. Mondays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. on Kenosha Community Media. Channel 14 with Spectrum or on Roku KCM streaming. With EveryRing, That's Everything Wrestling will keep you updated and informed. Mondays at 5 p.m. Fridays at 6 p.m. Tune in and enjoy wrestling. The renaissance of wrestling is occurring as we speak, so be part of sports entertainment. Each week you can see the discussion with topics, wrestlers and matches of the week. Looking at the big three: WWE, AEW and TNA. So if you enjoy wrestling and everything that makes wrestling special, tune in KCM 14 on Mondays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 6 p.m. EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling.
Bonkers Cartoon Apocalypse, where classic cartoons are revisited. Saturday at 10 a.m. and Sundays 10:30 a.m. If you enjoy classic and rare cartoons, you go to show. Nigel the Yeti is taking the reins while Mr. Bonkers add to the programming. The likes of Betty Boop, Popeye, Porky Pig, Daffy Duck, Mickey Mouse, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Felix the Cat and so much more. On Kenosha Community Media Channel 14, sit back with friends and family and relive the magic of morning cartoons. Wake up, gather the family and enjoy cereal and relive one's youth. Mr. Bonkers Cartoon Apocalypse, where whimsy is part of the magic. Join the other circus freaks where cartoons were fun and artistic. Every Saturday at 10 a.m. and Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Enjoy what made mornings special. Mr. Bonkers Cartoon Apocalypse, where classics fill the time.
What the heck are we watching? Movie reviews without pompous and pretentious critics who have agendas. Kenosha Community Media, Fridays at 5 p.m. and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. Cinephiles who like movies for entertainment and not rants and raves, who make the audiences feel bad for themselves. Weekly discussion on movies and with no alternatives. The movie reviews are to help audiences to make their decision. Not only are modern movies reviewed but a discussion on hidden gems, where good movies that have fallen through the cracks and forgotten. So before you go out, check out What the Heck Are We Watching? On Kenosha Community Media Channel 14. Fridays at 5 p.m. and Saturdays at 10:30 a.m.
Just Turned Heel, hosted by Danger Dan and Diablo Angelico, as seen on EveryRing. That's Everything Wrestling. Behind the curtain look at professional wrestling. A gritty shoot style of interviews where we look at various aspects of wrestling. Ever wanted to know what an indie star needs to do to get their foot in the door? Ever wanted to know what a booker does? Ever wanted to know the purpose of a referee is? Just Turned Heel will plunge into the world of wrestling and look at every facet. Just Turned Heel, YouTube exclusive, starting January 28, 2024.
Beware! Take care! The little green dragon sits on your doorstep. He eats little boys. puppy dog tails, and big fat snails. Beware! Pull the string! Pull the string! Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theater can be viewed
on Saturdays at 9 o'clock, Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, and Fridays at midnight.
All right, ghoulies, you tune in. You won't be let down.